Ever had that feeling? The sense that someone, somewhere, is watching you? Maybe it's just your imagination. Or maybe it's not. Tonight we bring you two chilling stories of obsession, control, and the terrifying reality of being watched. A perfect match, a love story, or a trap. When a dating app match turns into a meticulously planned nightmare. They said it was just coincidence. When the stalker becomes the prey. The hunter learns what it feels like to be hunted. What happens when someone knows your every move, your secrets, your fears? And worse, what happens when you realize you were never in control? Dating apps are supposed to be a numbers game. Swipe enough and maybe, just maybe, you'll find someone who feels like a real connection. That's what I told myself the night I met Mark. He was perfect. Too perfect, and I should have known. Perfection is always a lie. I wasn't expecting much. Another night, another series of disappointing profiles. Then, I saw him. Mark, handsome, charming smile. Just enough mystery to be intriguing, but not too much to feel like a red flag. I hesitated. Guys like this don't message girls like me. Then, I blinked. Hi, Kelly. I couldn't help but notice your profile. You seem fascinating. Mind if we chat? I felt a flutter in my chest. A mix of excitement and something else. Somewhere in the distance, a man sat in a parked car, watching. Our first date was effortless. He was everything I could have wanted. Attentive, funny, confident. Too perfect. He ordered my favorite wine before I even had a chance to look at the menu. I hesitated. How did you know this was my favorite? Mark smiled. I guess I'm just good at reading people. Or maybe we're more alike than you think. Across from me, Mark's fingers moved subtly beneath the tablecloth. Texting. A message flashes across a hidden phone screen. Camera 2 is working perfectly. She looks beautiful tonight. I should have been happy. Mark was everything I'd been searching for, but something felt off. I noticed small things. A book on my shelf, shifted just slightly out of place. A necklace I swore I left on my nightstand, gone. And Mark. He always knew things. Little things. My childhood dog's name, my old piano teacher. Details I'd never told him. I finally asked, "How do you always seem to get everything so right?" He laughed softly. "It's simple. I pay attention. Isn't that what every woman wants?" I wasn't alone. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. One night, while Mark was in the shower, I found his bag. Inside, pictures of me, years before we met, notes, my favorite places, my routines, my old job, my friends, crossed out. I barely had time to turn before his voice came from behind me. "Kelly!" I froze. "What the hell is this?" My voice was shaking. "You've been stalking me?" Mark didn't look angry. He looked hurt. "I didn't stalk you, Kelly. I loved you." I felt my stomach drop. "I've always loved you. I just needed to know everything about you to keep you safe." He had planned everything. My job promotion? Him. My apartment lease getting approved? Him. Our chance meeting? Planned years ago? I stared at him. "You've taken everything from me. My choices, my freedom. How is that love?" His head tilted slightly. "Because I love you, Kelly. No one else understands you like I do. You belong with me." I had one shot. I ran. I opened my eyes. The room was bright. Too bright. My dress was heavy, white. My pulse slowed as realizations sank in. A wedding. My wedding. Mark stood beside me, beaming. He leaned in, whispering against my ear. "See? I told you this would be perfect." My lips parted, but I didn't speak. Because I knew. There was no one left to hear me. No friends, no family, no way out. Love is supposed to be a choice. But when every door is locked, and every path leads back to him. Was I ever really given one? A final whisper, deep and almost satisfied. Happy ever after, my love. Not all stalkers are the same. Some hide in the shadows, watching. Others step into the light, pretending to be your perfect match. But what if the one being watched decides to turn the game around? What if the predator becomes the prey? They said it was just coincidence. And trust me, you'll never feel alone the same way again. It started as a curiosity. Innocent, I told myself. Just a fleeting interest in someone who stood out from the crowd. She wasn't like the others. She wasn't trying to be seen, and yet she was impossible to ignore. Her name was Emma. I remember the first time I saw her, a Tuesday evening, at exactly 7:43 in the evening. She was leaving the coffee shop on 5th and Main. She ordered chamomile tea. Chamomile. Who drinks that when the world is wired on caffeine? She was calm, composed, and to me, radiant. I didn't plan on following her that night, but then again, most important things in life aren't planned, are they? She was my muse, my purpose. Every Thursday she'd sit by the window in that coffee shop typing away. I began to piece together her life, her morning runs, her work hours, her routines. It wasn't obsession, it was devotion, love. But then, he appeared. That man with his perfect suit and forced charm. I didn't like how close he stood. I didn't trust him. She deserved someone better, someone like me. I hacked her accounts, intercepted their conversations. I left anonymous messages warning her about him. I even followed them one night, ensuring she made it home safely. I wasn't a threat. I was her protector. But things began to change. Strange, subtle things. My journals, the ones where I chronicled her life, had pages torn out. My private folders, my photos of her, were being deleted. And then I started receiving messages, anonymous ones. They weren't warnings, they were taunts. "Who's watching you now?" one read. My security cameras caught shadows that didn't belong. My phone rang in the middle of the night, but when I answered, all I heard was her voice. "Did you think I didn't notice?" I couldn't take it anymore. I had to face her to make her understand. So I waited outside her apartment. When she finally came home, I stepped into the light. She turned, startled at first, but then she smiled. It wasn't the smile I had dreamed of. It was colder, calculated. She looked at me and said, "I've been waiting for you." Before I could speak, I heard them. Other footsteps. A figure stepped out of the shadows behind me. And then another. They weren't strangers. They were people I'd seen watching me. Her smile widened. "You thought you were invisible, didn't you? That no one saw the predator lurking? I've been tracking you. You left a trail so easy to follow. Pathetic." I begged. I told her I meant no harm. But she didn't listen. Instead, she leaned in close and whispered, "Now you'll know what it's like to live in fear." Since that night, I've been running. Everywhere I go, there's a shadow, a camera lens, a presence I can't shake. She's not stalking me alone. There's a network, people she's recruited, all watching. And it's not just her, it's them. I used to think I was in control, that I was the one pulling the strings. Now I don't know if I'll ever feel safe again. She turned my own methods against me. She made me the hunted. Now it's your turn. Have you ever had that eerie feeling? A stranger who knew too much? A coincidence that wasn't just coincidence? Share your story in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. Because the more we talk about it, the more we recognize the danger before it's too late. And remember, sometimes it's not paranoia. Sometimes you really are being watched.